Let me ask you about this strange press conference that happened in the Oval Office. I've covered politics for a long time. I've never seen anything quite like it, where Elon Musk and his son and Donald Trump were talking to reporters. First of all, what was your reaction to the whole kind of bizarre scene?
It's funny you use that word because that was the word I used as well. It was bizarre. In terms of setting the scene, that's something that Donald Trump has always done extraordinarily well. And that's actually quite important for the rise of an authoritarian. And you've been able to see this in his first administration through his campaign in 2024 and now in the present. The use of grand symbols, the backgrounds of flags, big columns, the ideas that there's this grandeur and this inevitability behind this presidency. So first of all, it was really shocking to see him sort of in the side behind the Resolute desk, quiet, while Elon Musk, who was dressed in a t-shirt and a Make America Great Again hat, which by the way is almost certainly a violation of the Hatch Act, which is the thing that says that officials are not supposed to be using positions for political purposes. Not that anybody in the Trump administration appears ever to have cared about the Hatch Act, but other administrations always have. And he was standing there with his child. And again, they're children in the Oval Office. That happens. It's actually quite a good thing, but not in an official event in which the child appears sort of to be part of the scenario. And then those scenes where the child and Trump are staring at each other. The whole thing was, in a way, I thought, like a picture, an image of the denigration of the American government. Because remember, the Oval Office is the official workspace of the President of the United States of America. And yet the president was sitting there behind the Resolute desk, and that's important. And the whole scene was being taken by a man who was not elected. His appointment still seems pretty dodgy to me. And he was the one who was getting all the questions while the president was deferring to him. And the Resolute desk thing really jumps out to me because the whole idea behind the Resolute desk is there's a very long storied history to that desk. And it was ultimately a gift of Queen Victoria to Rutherford B. Hayes. I think it was 1880 off the top of my head. And it was supposed to symbolize international alliances and friendships. And to have that happen on that day, the day before the Trump administration was rejecting those alliances and friendships, was, I don't actually use photographs for the most part in my newsletter, but that one I'm going to see if I can get to use tonight because it was a real, it will be in multiple books going forward as a symbol of the fall, I think, of American significance globally.
And I'm sure President Trump doesn't know any of that, where the desk comes from, or the historical significance of the Oval Office. I think he sees it as some kind of stagecraft, I guess. And I couldn't figure out if the presence of that little boy was meant to soften Elon Musk's image and to make him look like a nice guy and a father. It was just strange. And it was using this kid as a prop, which I thought was bizarre, you know?
Well, the child is everywhere. Somebody pointed out to me, I did not notice this myself. Somebody pointed out to me that he is pretty much ubiquitous on Musk's shoulders. And the person who said that to me suggested it was out of concern, Musk's concern for his own safety. In any case, it is, I have absolutely no idea, of course, but in any case, it's just odd. The whole thing is really odd. But that being said, we're in a really odd moment. So you just said something about Trump not knowing about the Resolute desk, which is actually a really cool story. But Trump is not at the top of his game by any stretch of the imagination. And that seems to me to be an important piece of where we are right now, too. He is 78 years old. He has been mentally slipping for a long time. And there seem to be other interests that are using this presidency to put in place things that it doesn't seem to me historically have been very important to Donald Trump, like Project 2025. Um, so when we're trying to figure out what's happening here, it's not only that stuff is coming at us really quickly, but it's that a lot of the lines that we think we know and thought we knew are not actually the ones who are pulling the strings in this administration. And that speaks to something else in this moment, and that's that it's really important for people to understand not just what's happening in the last moment, but to understand what the government is supposed to do and what the United States of America is supposed to mean, because we're losing that, and we're losing it to the hands of people who, as you say, seem to look at the world more transactionally than on principle.
Let's talk about the fact that Donald Trump signed an executive order during that Oval Office press conference directing agency officials to draw up plans for, quote, large scale cuts to the federal workforce. And he further empowered Elon Musk and his Doge team to approve which career officials are hired in the future. So not only who gets fired, but who gets hired. Why, in your view, is this problematic?
Well, I think let's start by going back to where you were before. Why do you think he's doing this?
Why is he doing it? Because there's going to be a loyalty test and a test of fealty towards Donald Trump. And that's why they got rid of all the prosecutors and FBI agents who were involved in any kind of Trump investigation. It's retribution, plain and simple. And now they're going to stack all the agencies, and the employees are all going to have to, I think, sign some kind of weird loyalty oath. What do you think?
I agree with that, but that kind of begs the question, to what end? And what do you think they're up to?
I think they're setting a scene where Donald Trump has an unprecedented amount of power. It's a massive power grab with no accountability.
Yeah, and I would add that,
I
always
feel
follow.
like I'm doing an oral exam, Heather.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. It's
No,
just
that's okay. It's fun.
but that's just it. I mean, one of the things about our history and our government that we tend to forget is that, first of all, it's ours. And second of all, that this is not nuclear physics. We know how people behave and why they behave that way. Why does Donald Trump want this kind of power? Some people want power because they want to make the world a better place. Some people want power because, they want cultural cachet. Some people want power because they want money. And I'm a big believer in following the money. So we started in this, you said, why are they doing this? Why do we have Doge or what I call doggy doing this? And why is all this happening? There's a lot of money in the US government. And we are in a place around the globe where global alliances are in danger, in part by the overreach of, or at least what I would call overreach of authoritarians like Vladimir Putin, like Viktor Orban, to some degree like Xi Jinping of China. And I think Trump wants in on that. And I certainly think that Musk wants in on that. And in order to get that, you've got to tear apart our international alliances that say we won't go into other countries, that we won't take over smaller countries. And you have to get rid of the watchdogs who say, no, 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 you can't go in and take over this organization or that organization. You can't privatize the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. You get rid of all that stuff, and you get rid of the expensive policies that take care of the American people, then a few people can go in and pick up the pieces and put the money and the power in their own pockets.